We need it. Oxygen. It's why we breathe.
Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Small Biz Stories. I am your host, Dr. LL, and you know the drill by now. Every week we bring you somebody who has enormous expertise in some lane related to entrepreneurship or small business ownership. Today, as usual, you've come to expect it. No, right? No surprise. We've got a great guest here, Cary Prejean, who's the founder of Business Strategic Advisors. And he makes a very, very bold claim on his LinkedIn that he can back up, that he can double your revenue and income profits within only 9 months. Cary, with that, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Laura Lynn. Happy to be here.
Well, first up, let folks know you're in Baton Rouge area. Out of the couple hundred guests we have, I don't think I've had a guest from Louisiana yet. So this is
Well,
nice. Welcome.
thank you. Yeah, Louisiana proud.
Well, there you go. See, and I'm sitting here melting in New Jersey. It's 99 degrees. The air conditioning is doing whatever it can, and I don't think it's adequate, but there we go. And you're down there in Louisiana, so it might be a little swampy down there, a little hot today.
Yeah, it's not 99 degrees, but with 80% humidity, it feels like 105.
Oh, ouch, ouch, ouch. Not so good.
Yeah.
So that helps us paint a little bit of a picture. What I always like to do for our guests who are having just the auditory experience, where they're tuning in from iHeartRadio or Spotify, wherever they're coming in, I have our guests paint a picture of who you are, the room you're sitting in, the location, so they can kind of get the sense for the visual, so they can create a picture of you in their heads as we have the podcast. So why don't you describe you and your environment, Cary?
Like physically?
Yeah, so
Oh,
people get a
okay.
sense.
Okay, physically, I'm 6'2". You can't tell that from the screen. I'm 70 years old. I'm sitting in an office inside my house that what used to be a bedroom. There's a picture of my family home in the background. There's a few
Lovely,
edge wep. Huh? What's that?
lovely.
Yeah, that's where I grew up. And there's some edged weapons on the back wall. I'm just a big fan of edged weapons. That's all. So yeah, this is where I work. This is what I do. I meet with clients from South Florida to Seattle, all through the magic of Zoom.
Ooh, excellent. See, I love that now that you've painted the picture. This gives a sense. Now, I want you to answer the question what you are really good at. You, Cary, not your business strategic advisors and what you do and how you help clients, but what you, Cary, are really good at.
Well, I'm really good at helping businesses, um, not just get to the next level, which a lot of business owners talk about, but really kind of have a vague idea about, but really become a source of a lot of satisfaction for the business owner in terms of the amount of money that it makes, the culture that it has, the amount of time that they can take off, the compensation it affords them, the lifestyle. They go from being basically an overworked, glorified W-2 employee to really being able to do what they want to do. They be able to kind of build the lifestyle that they want, have adequate compensation as well as wealth building, and that at some point when they exit, either voluntarily or involuntarily, the business is going to be of the most value to them at the time. Because that's what we try and do is what can we do to make this business valuable? For most business owners, it's their biggest asset.
Oh, absolutely. And that was actually one of the things that drew me to you through your publicist when she talked about framing you as somebody who helps business owners go from being operators to owners, right? Because we all have that dream of business ownership. Oh, I can sit on my boat on the weekends, or I can go fishing when I retire and not retire at 85, but retire at maybe 60 or 65. But the problem is we all get so mired in the minutia that we're
Yeah.
working constantly right in the business instead of on the business. So talk to us a little bit about your well-oiled machinery program. I think that's a brilliant name and what it does, how you help people.
Yeah, it does three things. Number one, it works on getting the business owner out of the, as you say, the minutia of the business, right? Because the thing is, how do business owners go from having these wonderful ideas and turn on revenue, they start their own business, and like 10 years down the road, they're stuck micromanaging everything all day, and that's what they do, and they don't enjoy it because number one, they're not trained in it. Number two, they're not good in it, right? So, but they're having to do it because if they don't do it, the place falls apart. But that what they don't get is that they've trained their employees to unknowingly, of course, to only take things so far. Because the business owner runs around with, "You're not doing it my way," and I've heard that. I've heard that from employees of clients. It's like, "Yeah, I solved this problem, and what I got was, well, okay, you got it, but I wouldn't have done it that way." Well, who cares? Did you solve the problem or not? But that's a big thing. And here's the catch, is that the business owners, they start the business, they grow the business, it's like their baby. So they're very willing to trust what they see as employees who are there just for a paycheck for the most part. I'm going to turn my business over to you and you're going to take care of it as good as I am. No, it's not going to happen. So the message to the employees is, I don't trust you. I think you're incompetent. And in turn, the employees don't trust the business owner either because, um, basically the message they get is, read my mind, do it like I do it, or you're stupid. And a lot of times it's, so they don't trust the business owner. And it turns out to be these, what do you call a transactional relationship, where the business owner says, I'm going to pay you so much. And the employee says, I'm going to do what I got to do not to get fired. Right. And neither side's going to give extra change, right? It's going to be exact change every time. So the business owner then is forced to run around and make sure his way or her way is getting done all the time, which turns into micromanagement, which kills morale, which kills productivity. Instead of, and again, they haven't been trained, they don't know, processes, standardized processes for every critical function in the business will help them step away from all that and let the people follow processes. The biggest thing we need from business owners about processes, what are the results we want to see produced consistently? And that's, again, for some business owners, that's really hard because they've never stopped to say, okay, what are the results I want to see here? A lot of them are kind of vague, like, well, just make it work. Okay, well, they're going to make it work, but it's not going to be your way. And you're not going to be happy with that either. So tell me exactly what are the results you want to see. Let your employees design the process because they do it at the nitty gritty. And if you tell them it's not theirs, it's yours, they don't own it, and you're going to miss some steps. So let your employees design the process to produce the results you want. Make sure it gets tested and it produces those results. And once that happens, step away from that part. You'll be amazed at the morale that comes up, the productivity, the profits increase, your cash flow increases, your headaches decrease. It's good all the way around.
So you outlined, I don't know, a dozen problems and mistakes that the average business owner and entrepreneur makes. You outlined the key principles of change management and process improvement and what people should be doing to get there. So let's unpack it because that was a ton of great value.
Well, and I
So,
left off two of the things in the well-oiled machine, but anyway.
well, we'll come back to that, Cary.
Okay.
So with respect to the problems that we talked about that the business owners are making, they're not trusting, they're micromanaging, they're just staying too involved in the day to day and not looking at a high enough level. Do you think that that's the biggest problem that is preventing business owners from going where they are in the revenues now to the X level that you bring them to? Or is there a bigger problem that you see?
Well, I know it's a bigger problem. The base problem, as I see it, is that they're blinded. They don't see that they're the bottleneck, right? One of my things is if you can't step away from the business or it'll fall apart, you're the bottleneck, right? And that's the hardest thing for some business owners to admit that, wait a minute, I started this business, I own this business, I've been with it for the last 20 years. How can I be the bottleneck? Yeah, yeah, precisely. You are the bottleneck. If you can't see that you're the bottleneck, you're the problem. So that's the one cognitive blindness that is one of the first things I work on is, and I don't want to say you're the bottleneck, but just kind of point at it in a few different ways. And at some point they go, oh, I'm the bottleneck. Yeah. Yeah.
Is there resistance? Like,
Yes, of
talk
course.
about that, like why they
Well, of course
don't.
there's resistance. How can I be the bottleneck? This is my business. I owned it. I started it. I own it. I've been around with it. How can I be the bottleneck? I've been around these last 20 years. How can it be me? It's these idiot employees that they don't get it. They don't see what I see. Of course they don't see what you see. because you're a business owner, you're an entrepreneur, which is only about 15% of the population. They're worker bees. They don't want it. They see what you do as taking a lot of risk. They don't like the pace that you work at. They don't like how you can jump around from subject to subject to subject. They want nice, steady work. And they want rules. They want guidelines. They want to know what's expected. They want to know how it's done. Whereas you're like, just make it work, right? They don't want to, you're very extroverted. You're going to be good with people. You can establish relationships quickly. That's one of the things that helps you be an entrepreneur. Whereas most of them, they're a little reserved. They want to see who you are before they trust you, before they open up. But what you have to do is you have to build trust with them. It's nothing you can do overnight. And one of the first ways you can build trust with employees is to demonstrate that you care about them. Now, that's one of the elements of trust is, do you care about me? If my concerns aren't equal in your mind to your concerns, or maybe my concerns don't mean anything, why should I trust you? And trust is an essential element in the coordination of action between human beings. And if you thought I was some psychotic axe murderer, you wouldn't want to be in the same state as me, right?
Correct.
So if as an employee and all the message you get from your employer is you're stupid and I don't trust you, um, they're definitely going to get, you don't really care about them. Instead of asking, hey, how you doing? How's your family? How's that hobby of yours? You doing all right? Do you need anything else to do the job? Do you need training? Are you missing anything? Just how things going. Demonstrating that you care. Now again, somebody's like, well, I have 2 employees. How can I do it for all of them? You can't. Not in a practical level. But you have a management team. If you have that culture with them, they'll have it with their people, and say with the supervisors, and the supervisors have it with their people. That's a culture that culture always starts at the top and rolls downhill. So if you say your morale is bad, your productivity is bad, everything, whatever's bad about your business, that's your fault. All the good stuff with your business, that's your fault too, right? Your business is a perfect reflection of how you run it.
And so I want to dig into that a little bit because you do support businesses across the entire country and made some comments about asking employees how they are building the trust. Where I'm seeing things is a little different. And I've been doing research for the last few years for my book on how to manage people who don't give up. And so the challenges, especially here in the Northeast, the New Jersey, New York area, people don't want the team experience. They want to get in, they want to get it done, and they want to get out. And I'm wondering if you're seeing, just by virtue of where you're located in the South, and we all know Southern hospitality and culture and how that's really still entrenched and being so important, or are you seeing geographical variation where maybe like in the Northeast, no, they don't really care. You just got to give them the paycheck and give them the work and make them feel valued.
Well, yes and no. The big thing I see with business owners who really engage their employees, who not just engage them, but empower them,
Ah, that's different.
have learned how to have adult conversations, empowering conversations. In other words, if you have somebody that really seriously is committed to, I'm just here for the paycheck, I'm here to do the minimum and go home, you probably need to replace them. What you're looking for are people that, well, first of all, you have to have a bigger vision than yourself. You have to want something that's about being a big contribution in the future or now and into the future. And you want people who are drawn to that vision to follow you. You want to be a leader. You don't want to be a manager, because if you're an entrepreneur, you're going to be a bad manager. So you want to be a good leader, and good leaders, one of the first things you look for if you're a leader is, do you have any followers? Because great leaders have followers, right? So employees don't count. Okay. I mean, they can be an employee and a follower, but a follower is there not for the paycheck. They're there because there's something for them in your vision. Maybe it's their vision inside your bigger vision, right? So you have to have, it can't be just about you. And what most people get, most employees get is my company, my profits, my revenue, my cash, my wealth, my, what's in it for them? Oh yeah, you get a paycheck. Okay, I'll give you my minimum effort for that. So you have to go beyond. Again, I come from baby boomers. The traditional thing is, here's your paycheck, do your job. And don't ask questions. When I give you an order, you do it. And that doesn't work anymore, right? Especially with the younger generations that are in the workforce now. They're not gonna stand around that more than about 2 seconds. Now the downside of the younger generations is they always want to do something that's meaningful and contribute to the world, and they want to be CEO in about 2 years. They very much they're not into quote paying their dues and learning the stuff. I mean, there was this young lawyer that at any one time, brilliant kid, got a full ride to undergrad, got a full ride to law school, graduated the top 10% of his company, went to work for a very prestigious law firm down here. And after about a year, he says, I think I want to go back to being a bartender. I was like, what?
Wow.
He said, yeah, all they had me doing is grunt work and all this, case research and writing briefs and stuff. I said, that's what lawyers do. I said, this company, they were handling like $500 million lawsuit between international businesses. I said, if you went into the courtroom, you went to a federal courthouse right now and tried to take on the opposing counsel on this $500 million law firm, what do you think they'd do to you? They'd carve you up and serve you up for dinner is what they do to you because you don't have the experience. You need to learn the grunt work. You need to have the writing the briefs, doing the legal research, all that kind of grunt work stuff. It's because law school did not teach you how to be a lawyer. Law school gave you a good vocabulary so that you'd be trained to become a good lawyer. Same thing with accounting, same thing with engineering, same thing with medical field, all that. They give you a good enough vocabulary where you can be trained well to do. You don't come out of higher education really knowing how to do a whole lot. Anyway, so yeah, but that was my experience with the not even Gen X. I'm not sure what he is. But it's one of those new generations. He was looking for something fulfilling and worldly, and he wanted to be a contribution. All this scut work, as he called it, was just beneath him. Like, no.
Oh, yeah. Well, now there's 6 generations in the workplace, and this is where there's a lot of conflict. And I help manage some of the training and communication across generations. So you've got the matures who are north of mid 80s. You've got boomers, yourself. Boomers gave birth to the millennials, who are the Gen Y. But in between the boomers and the millennials, me, I'm a Gen X. We gave birth to the Gen Z that comes after the millennials. And now there's the Gen Alphas that are 14 years old that just entered the workforce this summer.
Wow.
So
I
yeah,
hadn't
it's
heard that
hodgepodge.
generation labeled yet. The alphas, huh?
Yes, they've just come in, aged 14. So summer programs and things. I've seen, golf courses, caddying, these kinds of things that they're allowed to do. Obviously, there's limitations in which you can ask a 14-year-old, but that's where it is. And Cary, I just love the explanations that you put in describing where entrepreneurship is and who entrepreneurs are, right? There's a certain type of, I guess, stereotype to the entrepreneur. Very, very comfortable with risk. 50% self-identify as ADHD. That's why we can all handle multiple things at the same time. We don't necessarily need a lot of detail. We just figure it out because we problem solve. That's the whole thing. That's the essence of entrepreneurship, right? Find a problem, create a solution, make money while doing it, right? That's the whole thing. And I think that, and what do you think of this actually? What is the question? If we offered training that helped entrepreneurs speak worker speak and workers speak, workers helped understand sort of entrepreneur speak and behaviors, I think we might be able to find some better connections rather than all this friction because the entrepreneurs, you said, come in and say, do it my way. I know this works. And then the
Right.
workers feel insulted and devalued because they're like, we're doing the job. You don't trust us to do it well? How come we don't get to tell you how to do it better? Right? If we
Right.
could bridge that, what do you think would happen with training?
Yeah. Well, again, that's what I mean by having adult conversations, right? In other words, the work relationship traditionally is more like parent to teenager. And you know how well that doesn't go, right?
Yeah.
Whereas if you have two adults, it's like, hey, this is what we're up to. This is the contribution I'm looking for you from you. And again, those aren't the exact words, but basically, this is what this mission, this project, whatever we're up to, this is what I need from you. This is your contribution. What do you think is your best way to do that? What do you offer? What can you do to solve this problem? What can you do to get this mission forward? That kind of thing, rather than here's what you do. Because if you say this is what I want you to do, that's yours, not theirs. If you ask them, what can you contribute? What do you see as bringing to the table? How do you see as solving this? That's theirs. They're going to own it. Because traditionally, something happens, and the boss calls a meeting. This is the problem. This is how we're going to solve it. And 6 months later, you're having another meeting about the same problem. Why? Because it was the boss's solution. Instead of asking for, how do y'all want to solve it? What's the problem? What are we missing here? What can we learn from this? What can y'all put together that we can fix this permanently? right? It's again, because my business, I started, I own it. I'm going to call the shots around here. And part of that, one of the most difficult things for some business owners to do is let their ego die, or at least
Mhm.
parts of it. Enough of their ego has to die to make room for the employees to step up. Or my expression is, you need to step back so they can step up. If you never step back, they will never step up. They will always be in that only go so far mode. So you need to get their input. Well, yeah, but it's not their business. So what? They do their job at a granular level. You don't know half of what they have to do to get things done, right? Get their input, get them on board, get them to take ownership, right? You tell them what to do is that there's zero ownership there for them. And
And
when it
that's just
doesn't work, they don't care.
right. They don't care. And then you, the business operator, continue to have to be on the business 24/7 because you haven't enabled or empowered your staff to be able to run it for you. So you can take a weekend off or do whatever. Right.
Yeah.
It's
Or
that this,
how about take a week off?
wow. I
How
can't even
about
imagine.
take how about take 4 weeks off? Because the business is running so well on the systems, on the processes that run the business, it doesn't need you there day to day. Now, it still needs your contribution in terms of strategic relationships, generating big revenue, hanging on to the big customers and the big vendors, suppliers, that kind of thing. But again, your job is be the visionary. What's the vision? Where do you see this business headed in the future? Right. And on purpose, intentionally build that business rather than I hope it comes.
Yeah. Hope is not a strategy, as we know.
Right.
I've tried it myself, actually. It doesn't work. No.
Nope.
And talk to us about when the entrepreneurs are there and okay, say they've listened to your advice and the well-oiled machine program that you put them through. They say, okay, Cary, I'm going to ask my team and ask them how to do their job better. I'm going to give them the tools and let them do it. And I'm going to try to step away, step back. But the solution they come up with doesn't seem good. It may not be perceived as good, right? Because we're hearing that seems to be a big part of the problem. Because like I didn't create it as the entrepreneur. Do you advise that the entrepreneur just truly let them try it?
No.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Let's
So what the entrepreneur has to be clear about, what are the results you want to see produced? Okay, so come up with a process. Now test the process. Does it produce those results consistently? If so, yes, let's input it. Even if it's not to the boss's way, liking, whatever. If it works, if it's economical, if it's, you know, it's efficient and effective, who cares if it's the boss's way? Rather than, hey, we want ping pong tables and bean bag chairs and free lunches. Okay, go to Google. That's they have that there. But again, it has to be something the employees are going to take ownership of. They have to come up with a process, and it has to be able to produce the results. The ownership declares what satisfaction the employees are charged with producing a process that produces those results.
got it. Now, we talked about books a couple of times. I know that
Yeah.
you're an author. Do you want to talk a little bit about the books? And I believe you've got one coming to market here shortly.
Yeah. I have one. Yeah, I'll show you a copy of it backwards, but Optimize. It's the first book I wrote a couple of years ago, and it's basically talking to entrepreneurs and saying this is how you look, right? Um, and I've gotten some great feedback about it, um, especially to the entrepreneurs that really get the quote, "I'm the bottleneck." And the transformation to go from being the little tyrant that goes around and beats people up and not doing it my way to being the leader is not an easy one. And it's not a short one, right? It takes you killing off some of your ego along the way and being committed to something bigger than yourself. Rather than you can't hanging on to this my way thing just gotta go. But again, you can't just throw the reins up and hope everything goes well. They have to demonstrate, employees have to demonstrate they're building processes. And as they build processes that work, you can step back and step back and step back. And all of a sudden, one day you wake up and it's like, I don't have to be there every day. Right. So this is what that talks about. Talks about how everybody has what's the word I would say here? Everybody operates knowingly or unknowingly, mostly on automatic. And what I mean by that is we all have a narrative that tells us what we see, hear, feel, taste, touch, smell. Um, again, here's a fallacy. Most human beings look out in the world and think, well, yeah, I see that, and everybody else sees the same thing. They might see the same objects, but their narrative is going to tell them probably a different story, at least a little bit than yours is, right? I mean, you can have, say, a person my age and my grandson look at the same thing. We're going to have fairly different stories about it just because of age, perspective, all that stuff. So when business owners look out in the world, they think their employees have seen what they see, and they don't. Right? Like not even close. The business owner look at this opportunity, and the employees go, "Oh God, that looks risky. That could bring the company down." So what you have to get in touch with is what is your narrative telling you, because most of it's on automatic. When people react, and I've seen business owners like throw tantrums and scream and cuss at people because something goes wrong. And they don't like, hey, I think I'm going to throw a temper tantrum here and reduce these people to tears. They don't, it's not a conscious decision. It just happens to you. You get triggered as that thing in the cancel culture. Oh, my triggering room. Well, yeah, we get triggered, but you have the opportunity, you have the possibility, you have the choice not to get triggered because it's just narrative. It's just a story you're telling yourself. Tell a different story and you react a different way. You can have the same event and have many different stories told about it, and you have very different experiences. I mean, all your emotions, because that's generally what happens. Some emotion gets triggered, and your narrative tells you to do whatever, and it happens. And next thing you find yourself a few minutes later, like kind of like, what happened? Have you ever done something, reacted in a way, and ooh, I wish I wouldn't have acted like that.
Of course.
So you didn't like, hey, I think I'm going to do whatever, but it happened. You just like, it's kind of like a ball. You throw a ball, it's going to land somewhere down the road, depending on how much force you put with it, the arc of it, all of that stuff. The ball didn't have a choice. It was thrown, it landed there. Same thing with your reactions. You don't know what's happening to you. It just gets triggered, you react, and boom, there you go. You find yourself there. So it takes being able to be an observer of that narrative, an observer of the observer that you are, to be able to start to gain control of that. And it's not an easy task. Generally takes a coach, generally takes time, um, to be able to examine all those things that we see about the world, especially the ones we hold really dear, you know, especially about our business. Oh, really?
That's
Oh, yes,
right.
this is so true. Oh, yes, this is the truth, not just true. It's the truth. Those are the ones that generally cause us suffering because we have no flexibility there.
Oh, and you must just see so much. I mean, the experience coming through as you're speaking here. I know that you're also like a part-time SBA mentor and business transformation coach, and of course, helping folks with your business strategic decisions. I guess company. There's the word. Good enough. Like, what's the word? Company. I was thinking agency or firm, but you've got all of that and pulled together. Now, you've just said you've got a new book coming out. Can you tell us a little bit about that or when that'll be out?
Yeah, it's at the printer right now. I think it's gonna be out in the next couple of weeks. It's called The Profit Strategist, and it goes over the 12 strategies that we use in the profit acceleration software that we use. Again, you talk about at the beginning of the show, where we can help businesses double their net profit. And again, it can happen as fast as 9 months. It depends on how fast your employees implement their strategies. I don't do it. They'll say, teach a man to fish, feed him for a lifetime, give him a fish, feed him for a day. Well, I want to teach you how to fish. I want to teach your company, I want to teach your people how to implement these strategies so you're not dependent on me coming around doing it all the time. So it depends on how fast they can get to this stuff. And again, a lot of that's going to depend on how committed the owner is to this. If the owner's kind of like half-ass committed to it, they're going to be half-assed too. If you're like really committed as an owner and let me work with your people, and you're going to have to build a little bit of identity with me and give me a little bit of authority to like coordinate action, make requests, hold people to deadlines, hold people accountable. And yeah, we can get it moving pretty fast. A lot of times it takes somewhere closer to a year and a half. But yeah, and again, here's a magic point. You don't need big moves in any of these strategies. You need about an average of 1.5% per each 12 strategies. You will double your net profits in a year.
Wow, that's incredible. And so if we, as we're coming to the end of our show here, if we summarized, or if you summarized, really the key thing that an entrepreneur has to do to crack that nut to doubling their profits within a year, What do you think it is, Cary?
You have to be committed. And what I mean by committed is I accept no excuse that this does not happen, right? Because and again, in my world, you either have results or you have reasons why not. And the reasons why not, they're not cheap by the dozen, they're by the billions. The moon wasn't right. I wasn't feeling it. I was just on my biorhythm was off that day. My canary had a hangnail, something. That's always you can always come up with a reason why not. The people who are rigorous that commit to producing results, no matter what, are the ones that are going to win. Because it's easy to quit. It's easy to find a reason why not. I didn't go to the gym today because I just wasn't feeling it. I was tired. I kind of had a cramp in my leg, and you can rationalize your way out of it. Instead of I went to the gym because I'm committed. Same thing for your business. Are you committed to your business? Implementing these strategies, doubling net profits in a year. If so, you will make sure that your people engaged in that and that they know that this is important to the business and this is priority for the business and for them. But again, you got to have an adult conversation about it. You can't do this because I said so. Because guess what? Then they'll really drag their feet.
Oh, for sure.
So, I mean, to me, a big part of everything in life really is about commitment. What are you committed to? You committed to your commitments or you committed to your reasons why not? And here's the secret. The world pays us for the results we produce. Nobody cares about your reasons why not.
Oh, bingo, bingo. Well said. I mean, that's going to be, I think, the tagline we'll put in the notes. So, Cary, how can folks get in touch with you? Where can they find you or your business?
Yeah, I'm on LinkedIn, just Cary Prejean. I have two websites. One that's about the Profit Accelerator. It's strategicbusinessadvisors.us, and the advisors is plural. The other one, which is more about the well-oiled machine process, is strategicbusinessadvisors.org, O-R-G. And you can schedule an appointment with me in either place, free consultation. Happy to talk with you.
Can't do better than that. Folks, you heard him. We got Cary here. We're able to find him. Cary, last question. It is our signature question of our podcast. If our listeners got to peek into your closet, there's got to be something in there that speaks to your personality, a certain style of clothes, a piece of shoes, a baseball cap, something that speaks to it. So tell us what we're looking at and why that personifies who Cary Prejean is.
Yeah, no baseball caps. My clothes closet is going to be, you're going to see a bunch of long sleeve button down shirts. You're going to see trousers that are cuffed with pleats, and all my jackets are double breasted with peak lapels.
There you go. So styling, super styling, and highly, highly professional. I would not have expected anything less from you, Cary, just given the conversation and the wealth of information you shared with us today. So, with that, folks, we are delighted. Thank you so much, Cary, for Strategic Business Advisors. He's got the .com and .org, his well-oiled machine, so you can look at his process to figure out how you can double your profits within a year by working with him. And several books. Look for him, I guess, on Amazon to find your
Yeah,
books.
yeah, yeah. The optimized and the 10 secrets every business owner should know. We didn't get to talk about that, but they're both on Amazon, and the third one, Profit Strategist, will be in the next month or so.
Excellent. So, with that, Cary, thank you so much for being on our show.
Laura Lynn, loved it. Appreciate the conversation. Love to be on your show.
And how about that fantastic intro by Touch Circle?